Hey everybody, this is Perched Kitty, Season 3, Episode 2, and this week we're going to be talking about declawing your cat. And according to most sources, yes, declawing can be beneficial to you and your furniture. The reality is, though, in most cases, cats groom their own nails and shed the outer layers to make way for sharper nails. They groom their nails. They keep them the way they need to have them for their environment. That would be my guess. They adapt. I came across this whole topic in a Facebook group, and the topic sort of gave me pause and made me want to sort of take a look at the issue as a whole, including how declawing is perceived amongst, animal professionals. There was a team of researchers that did a study that was published in the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery, and they reported that declawed cats have an increased risk for back pain and behavioral problems after declaw surgery. And this study was completed back in June of 2017, so it's a fairly recent study. The first thing I think to come up with this is the differing opinions that people have on declawing. And we can establish, that yes, trimming the nails every few weeks is humane. And it also can, limit the amount of deep scratching and digging they can do to your couch. And Veterinary News, another from the American Veterinary Association, published an article which provides a positive look at declawing. However, some of the information in the article is not well researched. They didn't seem to cite their sources very often in this article. I also found that some of the studies out there about this were either overtly biased in favor of or against, depending on who published it. And so, most recently, the American Veterinary Association published another study that there is growing concern that declawing may bring about more serious health complications later in life. And this is the same group that runs a Veterinary News, so they sort of flip-flopped on the way they perceived it. They said at first, like, oh, it's not that bad, and then now they're saying, wait a minute, there may be issues that are going to pop up later on. The only pros, this is just my opinion here, this is an editorial, and, the only pros to declawing are that your kids are going to be safe from those nasty little cat scratches, and your chairs and sofa will last much longer than anticipated originally. And, I think that the cons for the cat, in my mind, outweigh the benefits for your furniture. I just feel like, cats are not dogs. They will never be like a dog. They will climb your furniture and your curtains. They'll need, they will need your new carpet like a fresh, fine dough, and they'll rip at your linoleum. It's not going to stop. If you don't want an animal that is prone to this type of behavior as part of their instincts, then perhaps you might want to think about another kind of pet, another kind of animal where you don't have to mutilate their paws or change something drastic about them in order to welcome them into your home. I don't know, that's kind of like, it's like saying, throwing out, I don't want the ugly baby, so you gotta, it's like you start looking for plastic surgeons at 3. It's just not, animals are born with certain instincts. Dogs dig, cats scratch, cats bite sometimes, but primarily they scratch. And these are natural instincts that they have. And so, people say, well, I've got scratch boards all over the house. Good for you. Put some more out. Cover your furniture. The last 30 years of my life, my furniture has been covered up with something. Some kind of blanket. It's always been a throw on everything. And, I've used scarves and you name it. And in some ways, it beautified my home. which was kind of cool. Gave me that very sort of, I don't know, bohemian look around the house. And on the other hand, it also was nice in the wintertime to have those things on the couches and the chairs. And, when company came over, we just took those things off. And there's no cat hair on the furniture. They haven't scratched the furniture because they've been kneading in all the blankets that I kept on there. And, these are just not things that I think warrant the need to disfigure an animal, to make it more friendly to your aesthetics. And I just think that there's something highly wrong with that. The bottom line is, if you're really that concerned about the damage a cat might do with their claws, you really might want to consider another kind of an animal as a companion. Leave the cats to those of us who don't mind covering the furniture or making the house cat friendly. Like I said, I covered my sofa for years. But think about this before you do it. And some people may come back and say, well, it's my cat, and I'm going to do what I want to do with it, and who the hell are you to say anything? Well, I'm nobody, except that I love my animal. See her? She's over there on the chair. And I would never do that to her. And, when I had to rehome the majority of my cats before I moved to Portland, one of the ladies that had offered to take one says, well, I've got to go get him declawed. And my next response was, no, I'm sorry, I can't give you this cat. I'm sorry, I cannot do that. And, she wasn't offended, but, I felt like, I was pushing my will on her in some ways, but on the other hand, it was right. I know I was right by not giving her that animal because of the fact that she would have immediately gone down and had his claws removed. And, but if you maintain a cat-friendly home, have all the things you need, then these are not behaviors that should be that big of a deal. And really, if they are, consider another way to go. If you want to see my references on this topic, and I think I'm going to add some more to this topic as I kind of go along. It is now illegal to declaw a cat in most Canadian provinces. Actually, I think it's 3 Canadian provinces. Which is kind of cool. And I just want to put this little picture in your mind. Imagine, if you would, you went to the doctor and you had to have a finger cut off, and they just cut it off right there, and you didn't have it anymore. And that's kind of what goes on when they do this to cats. They're cutting off. There's 2 different types of surgeries. One, the nails can actually grow back, but they grow into the pad, and you have to really take care of them. And the other one is where they just remove everything. And so there are 2 different types. Most people go for the latter. But it's a terrible subject, and it's one that's, like I said, there's some controversy over. Some people think it's the humane thing to do. Other people think it's an inhumane thing to do. And I'm kind of going towards the inhumane thing to do side. But I'm not trying to, turn it into a big deal. It's just, think about the consequences of doing this. That's all. Talk to the veterinarian. Look at the studies. Read them. Look deep inside yourself and say, is cat really what I want? If I have to go to this extreme to welcome him into my home, then, think about these things. And I appreciate your watching. Have a great day, and see you next episode.